Okay guys, we have game number 2 of the day, but of course this is still the first match between the two teams here. EURONICS, the old Pushek team, is playing versus Go, and that means that we have a Poland versus Poland match on Khaldor here. Of course, when we're talking about draft, even in 2016, it's still all about that Kalthas and that Tyrande. There's a couple of other heroes that really come into play here as well, but those are the two that you really have to watch out for. When it comes to first pick and first bans, normally we're really seeing something along the lines of Kalthas and Tyrande banned out, or if you're trying to go into the mind games, you can, for example, start to just like ban the support of one of these heroes away. Khaldor is, on the other hand, that's still a map where you can try and ban out Falstad. Falstad Zagara banned out. Now that's fun, because that means that we have Tyrande and Kalthas still both around, and I'm a little bit curious to see what exactly Go is preferring here. So first of all, that Falstad ban, of course, is mostly because Falstad is so good on this map. First of all, you can fly into any single tribute fight, coming in late from lane to get extra experience for your team. You can also use the Mighty Gust to steal one of the bosses away. Zagara has a lot of vision on the map in general, and Khaldor is one of the maps where, first of all, vision is great since you always know what's happening at those two boss spots, but at the same time you can also like set up ganks a little bit easier against your opponent in the later stages of the game, or ganks against you are a lot more difficult to set up since you have so much vision thanks to those creep tumors. So Go first of all starts off with the Tyrande here as a pick, and EURONICS is very likely to go into the Kalthas right now so that he can play with those chain bombs on level 13, which is exactly happening here now. At this point, they have a couple of options of what they could go into. They could run in with a Meridian here. There's the ETC that they could still aim for if they really wanted to. Both of those heroes are very, very solid and are also extremely good for Go, since it is just that initial pre-stuns that Tyrande can get the follow-up. So you try to get one of those. There's a couple of things that Go can really do in the way that they are going to play that comp, but it depends a little bit on what EURONICS is going to try and attempt to pick as their next choice. It's either going to be Uther or a tank. That's at least the very likely choices that they could go for here. I have to admit that I haven't cast a Pushek team in quite a while, so I don't know exactly if they have maybe a bit of surprise picks here for Khaldor. But in general, the way that drafts work right now is that at the beginning, let's say until the second bans, you oftentimes see very similar hero structures. It's all about those core heroes that make a solid composition, and then if you have your surprise picks, those come in after the second ban phase. And we see a lot of those. I mean, we've seen a lot of Nova play, we see a lot more Thrall. Go played with Thrall in the last game. Meridian, as already expected, has been picked now for EURONICS, so they pick it away from Tyrande, and Go could now counter with a pick into Diablo, for example, if they really want to go there into that stun combo and that sniper composition. But they also have a few other options. I mean, we've already been talking about them running a Thrall earlier. They could try to go into a Thrall again, but then of course you need to have some support behind that too. If you run with a Tyrande, you can go into even a Tassadar as a second support if you wanted to. You can play her solo. We have ETC already taken. Oftentimes with ETC you see Uther, but since Tyrande has already been picked, it's very, very unlikely that an Uther is going to be part of the composition. If you play Uther in such a setup, you would probably try to play Tyrande for the most damage output that you can, with maybe Seasoned Marksman, or like you could go into a focused attack build, Searing Arrow build on level 4, could try to play something like that, but it's very likely, it would very unlikely, it would actually be one of those like a little bit weirder picks. Now Reyna as a damage dealer, and that was one of the heroes that was actually taken away from Go in one of the earlier games. It's also kind of interesting to see that at this point Tyrande does have the pre-stun by ETC, but not really that hardcore sniper setup that you would achieve with the Diablo. But ETC overall is adding a little bit more value towards the late game. Diablo is usually falling off in the later stages of the match a bit and is stronger in the early game, where he can really just get that momentum together with Tyrande and get a kill after kill. Even though Diablo has been, like, the way that he's played is changed a little bit. Like, he's more played with Apocalypse these days, once again, to get a bit more control, and especially on Khaldor, since you have all of these narrow pathways where you're trying to fight, we oftentimes see that as a great zoning tool as well. Zagara being banned out makes, of course, sure that Diablo can't play with that Maw. Like, back in the days, you oftentimes had that Maw into Apocalypse being used to just, like, lock a team down pretty hard, but right now that's not the case anymore, or, like, at least not possible in this game. Jaina is banned out, and I mean for very valid reason. First of all, you don't want to give Jaina the opportunity with the Ring of Frost, Cone of Cold, and also Blizzard to just like burst everything away that ETC catches in the mosh pit. And second of all, if you have a Tyrande on your opponent's team on top of all of that with that extra damage, then you really want to make sure that she is not going to get the opportunity to get that damage in. So it makes sense that EURONICS ban out Jaina. Go counters with a ban on Uther, and in this case, it's just basically them saying we don't want to go up against the Divine Shield. they have the ETC. They already know that they're not going to try and pick pick Uther here because they already have their support locked down with Tyrande, but they still want to make sure that Uther is not going to be played against them because that eventually can just be pretty nasty, as you of course also know. So for EURONICS, it is that Tassadar. So you could play Tassadar Brightwing on this map, or are they going to play a Tassadar solo? If you play a Tassadar solo, then personally I would like them to go into a Tyrael at some point. We've been already talking about Tyrael in the last game. He's strongest on Cursed Hollow right now. It's actually one of the reasons why oftentimes he's banned out here, since with that level 16 talent, Holy Ground, he can steal bosses away. He has a lot of really good uses also for Sanctification in those close quarter fights that we oftentimes see over the tributes. So you could use that. Thrall is being played now. And especially with Thrall, I have to say that I would really like to see maybe a little bit more support for him, since, or at least have that extra shield that Tyrael is going to provide you. That would be a very melee-heavy frontline, but it's still one that I feel you can keep alive if you go into a Tyrael. Go, on the other hand, they already showed a tendency to maybe even pick that Tyrael up as well. In the last game, we saw ETC plus Tyrael, and we could see that again. So you could actually go for that. We have Falstad banned out, so this time at least you don't run the risk of being Mighty Gusted away. And there's the Tyrael pick. I'm liking it. It takes it away from EURONICS and adds it to the setup that Go has. And as they are already running with an ETC with the Tyrael and Tyrande, they still have quite a bit of sustain here. Tyrael strong on the map, can use that Holy Ground, so he's going to be a menace for the boss fights later on in the game, especially since of course Falstad has been banned out, so he's not an option here anymore. Go now. Bit more range damage would probably be pretty nice for them. And when we're talking range damage, then we could see something along the sides of Vala, for example. We had a lot of damage actually banned out with Jaina, Zagara, and Falstad. Vala is still available though, so you can go for her if you want to. Other range damage heroes that we could see at this point. Personally, I really think that Vala would probably be the best choice for them. At least I would prefer her to be played in such a setup. But maybe we're going to see them with something a little bit different. For some reason, I have Nazeebo stuck in my head, but we don't really see him too often because other heroes are just doing his job so much better. Must be because Nazeebo, if I'm not mistaken, is currently in the free rotation, and whenever you queue up for anything, there's so many Nazeebos around these days. It's crazy. Ah, Sylvanas, that's... There we go. My Vala was stuck in my head, my girl. But yeah, Sylvanas is of course also pretty solid. Like, I can't... my apologies, Sylvanas. Like, sorry. You are pretty hot, and I really am very, very sorry that I forgot about you. But yeah, my thoughts were dominated by Vala, so I hope that you can forgive me at least for now. So with Sylvanas taken for the extra damage and also the silence, I mean, we've been talking about the Korean old school comp quite a bit, right? Like going into Judgment and Tyrael and Sylvanas with a Wailing Arrow, and boom, snipe one of those targets away. And there he is! Trash Dingo, we have Nazeebo in play. I had him stuck in my head, and that's why. It was a premonition. So we have Nazeebo now taken, and apparently, thanks to him being in the free rotation right now, EURONICS picked him up once or twice and said then, you know what, boys, he's not too bad, so let's give him a shot here. So Nazeebo is here. We have a chance to see Gary in play, but of course the Gargantuan is still oftentimes like... yeah, just like left aside, since we have that Ravenous Spirit with a lot of damage, and especially on a map like this when you can just like hide behind a little bit of debris and then make sure that Nazeebo gets the Ravenous Spirit out, you get a bit more value out of that. That again could lead us into Judgment. So I guess we're going to see both teams just wait a little bit what the ult is going to be on Nazeebo, so that Tyrael can make his decision if he wants to go into Judgment maybe after all. Because, well... if you don't go into Judgment, Nazeebo can still be interrupted with a Ravenous Spirit with a couple of other abilities that are in the game right now. But depending on his positioning, it might be a little bit trickier to actually reach him. So we could actually see Tyrael just wait with his ult to make sure that Nazeebo goes into the Gargantuan. And if Ravenous Spirit is picked, then of course you have to think about, okay, can Tyrande really get close enough to Nazeebo to get that stun? Do we want her to use that stun for Nazeebo? Do we use the Sylvanas Wailing Arrow for that, to like stun that out? Or do we just like say, okay, Tyrael is going to jump Nazeebo as soon as Nazeebo hits that ult? Either way, that's a lot of theory crafting. We're going to jump into the game and find out which team here at the end of the Storm Europe is going to win it now here on Cursed Hollow, EURONICS or Go. Enter the Storm, Europe has started and we're going into our Poland versus Poland match. We have EURONICS, the former Pushek team, going up against GO. And to the left side of the map we have EURONICS with Kreku on Thrall. We have Krolu, not only Silence but also on Tacita. Juf on Muradin, Uberim on Kel'Thas, and Prishbli on Nazeebo. So two of the heroes are silenced before a single wailing arrow has been shot by Sylvanas. Kappa Kappa. To the right side of the map, Go, after taking down Madcore, they go up against now EURONICS. We have Go Terra on ETC, Wolves on Tyrael. We have currently Yozokid on Sylvanas, Linked on Tyrande, and IK side on Reyna. It's going to be a pretty interesting game, especially when we come to level 10, because a couple of those heroes could go for very interesting heroic abilities. I really think that we're going to see a bit of a... It's actually pretty cool. Like, we have both of the teams immediately going for towers here, especially in the mid lane, of course, with the Nazeebo pressure. 5 heroes going straight for the wall, and down to the bot lane, we're seeing Sylvanas do the exact same thing with ETC and Reyna. So 2 towers taken down, and it's pretty common to actually see that in the early stages of the game by now. Talking builds, we're going to talk about that in a second, but as I already said, like, level 10 abilities could be very, very interesting, because we could theoretically see that Ravenous Spirit on Nazeebo. Gary the Gargantuan is of course also going to try and make a bit of a comeback here, but there is a chance that Tyrael, for example, is going to wait with this level 10 ability, not immediately jumping into Sanctification, but waiting for potential Judgment so that he can cancel the Ravenous Spirit whenever that is thrown out by Nazeebo. Now in general, Go has quite a lot of talents that they can use to interrupt Nazeebo. The only question is, will those heroes really be able to get close enough to Nazeebo to interrupt him? Because this is one of the maps where, with good positioning, you can really be the bane of your opponent's team's existence by throwing out a good Ravenous Spirit that does a ton of damage. So you have quite a few opportunities here how to position yourself, especially when those fights over the tributes are starting. For now, Nazeebo here up at the top with, of course, Death Ritual on level 1. We're seeing the Reverberation build again for Muradin, and we have still an attempt to go for a kill. Juf will have to go up against Terror and Linked. ETC and Tyrande are going to just move over. And especially, of course, Sylvanas here is just going to be a menace. Just going straight for those towers every single time. And with just 3 heroes, they're easily able to take on her. Now, there we go! And Muradin, of course, jumping away. Not eating an owl or anything yet, but he is extremely low, and that of course means he can't really try to stop those guys since they just dropped tower number 2. That means also that we have the level 4 abilities very early in the game. You might have seen already that we have Tacita as the solo support on the side of the blue team, so EURONICS is going to try and play it not only with Leeching Plasma on level 4, but then also with Carlos Embrace on level 7. The preload on the shields is extremely important if you're trying to play Tacita as a solo support. And he's definitely one of those heroes that you can play as a solo support. I mean, preferably you are going into an ETC with maybe Prog Rock and Rubies on level 1 and 13, but there's a couple of other things that you could do too. ETC, on the other hand, in this game is the first target and victim on the side of EURONICS, so they take him down early on. Thrall changed his build, by the way, so we have a different Thrall build that is currently being played in this game. We're currently seeing Envenom on level 4 taken over the potential Chain Lightning talent that we saw in the last game. Once again, a nice lockdown here, this time against Tyrael, and another kill. Well done here. So we see EURONICS showcasing why they are just like so strong. It's a very, very good team. You might have seen those guys around when they were still playing under the name Pushek. They joined EURONICS, found an organization, very well deserved. And currently they're just like getting kill number 2 in the game. We're seeing them moving around again down to the bottom or the middle of the map. Juf and Uberim already trying to push this wave in. And the early level 7 would give them another lead that they could actually use to get maybe even the second tribute, depending on the timing here. We see an Owl build played for Tyrande. Very common these days if you want to go for the maximum healing power, since especially the level 1 talent Empower is reducing the cooldown on your heals. And of course you get also a huge cooldown reduction with the potential battle momentum then later for your heroic ability. And once that you start spamming out the Shadow Stalk, you are in a position where you can just like get a lot of healing power for your team. That's one of the reasons why we oftentimes see that solo Tyrande being played these days now. Level 7 for both of the teams at this point. And we have another tribute up on the map. Level 7 here will just keep rocking. We also have finally having the unstable poison. No battle momentum, but instead the Lunar Blaze. So going for a more aggressive version of the build here. Still having that cooldown reduction thanks to Empower. And Pierce, of course, is also going to be a great talent to just interrupt all the potential tribute channels that could happen on this map. But still with the idea of sniping targets thanks to the ETC pre-stun and then getting Tyrande in. Nobody was going for the tribute for the entire time, by the way. way, but now finally Uberim has taken the tribute and is also going for the vision here. But it also means that at the top lane, Sylvanas has a lot of freedom to not only burst these waves down, but also go straight for that particular keep or fort, and they are really going to get that. Git bin on level 7 now taken, and we see Winch here. So very different Thrall build compared to the game against Madcore, where we saw Go play the hero. In that game we saw more of a focus on follow through in the chain lightning build. Also Karla's Embrace has now been taken. And Tyrael is going for that sustain build again, going into Regeneration Master, rounding it up with an Amplified Healing, and then going on level 7 straight for the battle momentum for the reduction on his cooldowns. So the fort at the top lane has been eliminated. This is a tribute that is starting to become extremely important for the red team, so Go really has to move in for this one. It's both of those teams now finally on level 9. No heroic abilities just yet. ETC again, locked down, nice Storm Bolt, and Gathering Power. Gets away for now, but he's of course extremely low. Has the well still up and uses that to move back into the fight. Kreku is already channeling the tribute. They need to really try and zone. He actually interrupted. Now we have once again, where is that Tyrande Owl? There it is. And now they can just move in again, try to push them away here. Tyrael and ETC both up at the front line. Nice double stun. Great play. And they're going straight for Thrall. Thrall is about to go down, but Tyrande is also dead. Here's the level 10s now. Oh, good kill against Tassadar, but the Phoenix is already in position. And the stun and kill against Nazeebo. Well done there. Even with them reaching level 10 a little bit later, we're now seeing Go in a great position here, hitting that level 10 on their own. And we have for Nazeebo the Gungeon taken, and immediately we have, as a result, no Judgment but Sanctification taken. As already said before, Judgment would have only been an option. Sanctification is just such an amazing talent that very few players are really willing to let that go. But there's of course always the option of going into a Judgment plus Wailing Arrow, and if then also Nazeebo goes into a Ravenous Spirit, that would give you another reason to use that combo attempt to just snipe a target in the backline. But as of course Nazeebo went for Gargantuan, for Gary, there was absolutely no need to do that. With their heroic abilities, we have of course Shadow Stalk, which was already used here. We're seeing Sanctification. We're also having them now in a position where they're trying to run this with, well, first of all, a mosh pit, and that is going to be very interesting, especially for those fights over the bosses later on in the game. For now, though, we still have 2 tributes against 1. We have 3 kills against 4, roughly the same amount of experience and also the same levels here. Both of the teams are currently on level 11. We're having with Tassadar and his Force Wall now an option for them to zone the opponent out even more. And this is a great map for a Force Wall. There are so many close things. Oh, what a mosh pit! 3-man mosh pit and silence, the lockdown and the double kill. Thrall came in, was trying to help out with the Sundering. Krolo at least is still alive and could zone them out of the Force Wall. But that was a great double kill against, well, Muradin and also against Kalthas. Really well played here. And now up to the top lane. Terra is of course going to get an easy tribute channel since nobody can really do anything about that. They're starting to aim for the boss after that as well. And that is going to allow them to push that top lane even harder. And since they took down the fort at the beginning of the game already, they have now a very heavily pushed top lane. Yeah, looks like Nazeebo is still trying to use those spiders to poke a little bit, but the team won't be able to rotate in and really contest this one. On the other hand, we have still EURONICS at the bot lane trying to go for a boss on their own. There's already Sylvanas around to double check how many hit points are still left on that boss. Krolo sees that, so they can actually make that rotation happening. Yeah, Krolo is starting to move in, and here comes the Owl. Are they going to jump? Nah, there's the Force Wall. Well played. It was close, but still well done. The problem is that Juve has to jump out, and he does, but Kalthas is in trouble. Gets a shield from Tassadar, but he's still able to get away here because Terra was not just in range to slide through the opponent with a power slide, so he couldn't really box him in here. Up to the top, on the other hand, we're currently seeing the boss starting to go straight for the wall, and that's of course one of the biggest problems. We've been talking about it a bit. But we have now at the same time here another tribute on the map, and this is going to be a curse tribute. Linked actually losing a lot of hit points here. Terra has to slide in, and they were a bit too far out. Kill against Tyrande, and now they're going for ETC as well. ETC is trying to get away here, but there's way too many heroes right on him. And this is going to be the curse against Team Go. Well done, EURONICS is getting the curse there. Down to the bot lane, the boss has been defeated. So that keep has not really taken too much damage. Up at the top, on the other hand, we are still seeing the boss go ham, and he's going to put a bit of damage onto that keep here for now. Level 13 talents also in play, but EURONICS is now pushing the mid lane instead. We're seeing them on level 13 now with the Grace of Air. The bug that existed has now been resolved. There was a bug actually that if you take the Grace of Air talent, you would not get your passive activated with the Wind Fury hits. So that has been removed in the last patch, in case that you didn't know that yet. We have also now the Fission Bomb into Chain Bomb completed, and the Toads of Hugeness have been taken after Gitbin as the level 7 talent. The teams are both on level 13 with the talents. We have a bit of damage at the keep over here, and a rotation into the top lane again to take down another fort. Relentless Leader now taken for Reyna, and that is going to help him, especially against Muradin and Thrall. So it's a pretty cool talent actually to take, especially if you feel that you are going to be locked down during those fights. It's kind of interesting though that we have the lockdown composition on the side of Go, and they are the ones who are really afraid of that. I mean, for very good reason, don't get me wrong. Groupies now taken after we saw the Just Keep Rocking here, and that duration, well, it helped him a little bit trying to get away earlier. It's a great talent for ETC to have if your opponent is trying to lock you down with like stuns. But ETC still died earlier on when he and Tyrande were attempting to go for the tribute. We have now also on level 13 Spell Shield taken over the Evasive Fire talent that could have been used here, especially with Kel'Thas. Well, Kel'Thas, Nazeebo and Tassadar, if you have those three bad boys up against you, there's so much ability damage that comes in. A Spell Shield makes a whole lot of sense there. And now rotations happening on the map again, with the bot lane being attacked. Not quite sure what they're trying to do here. They're apparently just like trying to go for a bit of a flank maybe. Tassadar should have... There's the Shadow Stalk. They're starting to move in, and can they get one? They lock down, or they try to lock down Tassadar, but it doesn't really work out. ETC is a bit of trouble once again. Sundering has been used, so did Sanctification. Most of the rogue abilities are actually already down. Only Gary the Gargantian and Avatar are still available on the side of EURONICS, and they jump in, they go in deep. They want to go for Reyna, but Relentless Leader is helping out. The Mosh Pit catches two, and they eliminate Thrall right away. Once again, Terror moves in, but he's low, has to push them away with a Fell Smell. Uberim at the same time dies in the backline. We have Reyna also taken down now, and it looks like Tyrell is going to be the next target. So we have a trait 2 for 2 kills here actually. But it looks like once again EURONICS came out a bit ahead. They have still a bit more experience, not experience, but hit points on their heroes, and were able to push this in a bit farther. We have them on level 15, nearly 16 right now, so they will head for that next talent. That is going to give especially Kel'Thas an opportunity to stay alive with the Arcane Barrier. It's actually one of the things that a lot of players are currently criticizing, saying that the Arcane Barrier is a bit too strong for Kel'Thas, that he is just one of those heroes that can easily do so much damage in the late game without having to risk too much. It's kind of interesting how the hero developed. If you remember the times of Ignite, where you could go into Flamethrower and Ignite and you had all that damage, Blizzard changed it a little bit. Chain Bombs replaced the old Flame Strike build, and now you can basically do the same amount of damage, but you are not as safe as you were before. But now with Arcane Intellect being taken, Arcane Barrier taken on level 16 all the time, you still have a lot of survivability during those fights. You have to go a little bit closer to your opponent to get those chain bombs in, so you have to expose yourself a bit and can't really stay in that range of a flame throw a flame strike, which was the problem back in the days, but right now it's still a little bit tricky. So we have once again currently on level 16 Holy Ground taken for Tyrael, imposing presence for ETC, pretty good talent for him to take, since he's of course the hero that they've been trying to take down the entire time here. Bullseye for Reyna, we are seeing also Ranger for Tyrande taken, good damage talent for her. And besides that, one of the most annoying talents in the entire game, Leaping Spiders. Didn't we all die once or twice to Leaping Spiders, just like trying to run away from them, and then those things just like leap in and take us down? Quite annoying, but well, there's also the Arcane Barrier, so Kel'Thas is going to be happy. Here comes Wolves, where's the Holy Ground? He can use it right now. Not used yet, here's ETC again with the Mosh Pit. ETC with that Mosh Pit, where's the follow-up damage? They don't have it! And Thrall Green Jesus, he goes in and takes everybody down. He pays with his life for it, but they get 3 kills out of it. They might get a 4th. Yes, they do. In comes... Oh, and the 5th kill. Muradin jumps in, gets the double kill there. Really well played. Go a bit too greedy. They were trying to steal the camp away. It didn't work out. The Mosh Pit was nice. The follow-up damage was not there in time. Thrall did not die and just turned around and took them apart. And now it looks like we're going to have the game end right now and right here. as Team EURONICS is moving in for the core. Nobody alive anymore. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is GG. EURONICS is going to move on to the next round of the End of the Storm Europe qualifier. Well played. Good job here. Congratulations. They take down their opponent on Cursed Hollow. Okay, everybody, that's it for the day. We had some really fun games here, and I hope that you enjoyed them and also the commentary. Of course, we're going to have more Heroes of the Storm action on the channel in the near future. So if you enjoyed the esports scene in Heroes of the Storm, make sure that you hit that subscribe button on Khaldor TV and also like the video if you haven't done that yet already. There's going to be more European games. We're going to have more North American matches as well. And of course, if you're interested in the Chinese Heroes of the Storm esports scene, I'm going to have more games on the channel as well in the near future as those leagues start again. At the same time, though, if you have friends that are also interested in esports and in Heroes of the Storm, make sure that you forward the channel to them and share it with them. It was a pleasure casting for you today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed, as I already mentioned, and I hope to see you next time for more Heroes of the Storm action here on Khaldor TV. See you guys soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.